Glossary of legal terms. Assign, assignment, assignee. Brought to you by yourlegallegup.com. Your advantage if you're being sued by debt collectors. Hi everybody, this video is part of our glossary series where we explain legalese to ordinary people. You will find the link to a page linking all the glossary videos in the video description below. We tell you what the term is, what it means, and what the legal context is. We point you to other sources of information if necessary, and then discuss what it all might mean to your defense. Today's terms are all related. Assign, assignor, assignee, sometimes pronounced assignee, and assignment. The definitions are pretty simple on the surface. To assign or make an assignment is to transfer legal rights to someone else. Not necessarily all of them, but some of the legal rights. The person doing that is the assignor, and the person receiving the rights is the assignee or assignee. In the context of debt, it is widespread and perfectly legal to transfer the right to collect a debt. It would be possible for the original contract to forbid the transfer, but that rarely happens, and it probably won't be an issue for most people facing debt lawsuits. Still, if you have doubts, check the original contract, and if you don't have the original contract, you can ask for it in discovery. Of course, you should. Other kinds of assignments aren't so easy. Any contract regarding personal service, for example, is probably going to say that assignment can't be done without another agreement. And property leases are similar, but where all that is due is money, assignment is not usually an issue. In most debt buyer cases, the law is clear. The buyer can assert the same rights that the original creditor could have regarding the debt. Their damages will be what the original creditor's damages would have been, i.e. the nominal value of the debt, and not what they paid for it. But they may also be debt collectors subject to the rules of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So that would control and affect the way they collect the debt rather than their rights to the debt. There does seem to be an issue coming up in some cases regarding assignment. In typical debt buyer collection cases, the original creditor assigns the debt in its entirety to the buyer. They sell it, in other words, who then sues you. There's no question that the original creditor isn't suing you in that case. You're being sued by a debt buyer. But the original creditor has some advantages in litigation over debt buyers, as most people understand. That seems to have given rise to something new, which I think is probably a deception. This is a sort of partial assignment of rights. Apparently, the original creditor sells the right to sue to someone to a debt buyer. The debt buyer then turns around and sues either in its own name on behalf of the creditor or in the original creditor's name, in care of the debt collector. And this brings up issues of defense and of counterclaims. Let's talk about defense first. If you get a case entitled Bank in Care of Debt Collector versus You or something like that, I would like to hear about it. So just please drop me a note. For your defense, you're going to need to know who is actually suing you. I recommend that you call the lawyer representing the company and simply ask the lawyer that very question. Who is suing me, the debt collector or the bank? And follow up on the question with things like, so if I wanted to settle, would the bank have to agree to the amount or would someone else make the decision, and who? Notice I'm not talking about the lawyer being the creditor or the debt buyer or anything like that. The lawyer is just speaking for whoever is actually suing you, and you don't need to be concerned about them in most cases. Now, it isn't always easy to get the lawyer, and it isn't always easy getting answers from the lawyer, even if you do, but you need answers to this question about who's suing you. Unless you're fully satisfied with the answer and it's clear to you, you will need to follow up with discovery in the lawsuit. The less involved the original creditor is, the better your chances of defending the case. Whatever else they've done, they've created a records trail for you to follow and exploit. But if the original creditor isn't really involved, then they're going to have major evidence problems, and you should win if you fight correctly. And that brings me to the counterclaim part of this issue. If it should become clear to you that the debt collector owns the debt, then the question becomes, why did they put the original creditor's name on the lawsuit? And the answer to that is intuitively clear, isn't it? They do it to intimidate you and to disguise your chances of winning. If that strikes you as unfair and deceptive, as it does me, you might want to consider counterclaiming under the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Finally, there's a sort of a gray area where the debt collector owns some part of the thing, but not all of it. Since this appears to be a developing trick by the debt collectors, I don't want to share publicly my thoughts on this. As you probably know, some of them follow me, and I don't want to help them with any of their dirty work. But I will have information on this situation for members that might help. That isn't a teaser for membership, and if the trick becomes more widespread, I'll share more publicly. But for now, let the collectors do their own work, right? Of course, you know you can't take any of these videos as legal advice. They are the videos in the glossary are meant to be educational by someone who used to practice a lot of this kind of law. Most people can represent themselves in debt law cases because of the kind of law and the kind of business it involves, but you don't have to do it alone. If you are, in fact, representing yourself, you may want more help, and that's where our memberships and products come in. You'll find the link to the glossary below in the video description. You will also find a link to a page linking all of the videos in this series. Helping people protect their rights is what we do. Protect what's yours and don't let the debt collectors rip you off. YourLegalLegUp.com